Hello and welcome to the 240Z, 260Z, 280Z coilover installation. Here we partnered and became exclusive with the Riaction coilovers. This is everything that you're gonna get in the box. So you're gonna get a set of coilovers. You got these front ones and these rear ones, the rear ones being a slightly longer. You also get a bunch of goodies from Riactions and ourselves. Now you'll have some set of instructions, but we also wanted to make this video so you can get a lot more in depth with those instructions. You have a pair of these spanner wrenches or adjusting wrenches. You also get a set of 4 of these adjustment knobs, and those are going to be for your one-way coilover adjustment. You also have 4 of these adapter sleeves. It's going to adapt if you have a 240Z to a 280Z style coilover. So these will really only get used if you have a 240Z. And you'll also have a pair of these brake line brackets. And of course, you got this badass Riaction license plate cover. And that's what you're gonna have in the box. Now we're gonna go ahead and install and show how to install these coilovers. Now first thing is you'll notice that these sleeves are pre-threaded onto these coilovers. You can go ahead and remove that. Now these dust covers or dust boots on these coilovers are really nice. They also come with the optional Swift spring upgrade if you wanted to opt for that. They also do come with camber adjustment on the coilover top from factory, and this is where your adjustment knob is gonna screw into, as well as this has really high quality hardware and pillow block bearings. Now, the best thing about Riaction is that they are built in the USA, and so if you ever need a spare part or a replacement part or need to get them rebuilt, you can just ship them to their USA facility, and then that makes for easy serviceability and install and replacement parts. Now here we're gonna go do a quick peek on how this little knob attaches. This knob has a little spring load. You go ahead and tighten that up, and this is where you're going to be able to get your click adjustment. This is the 32 valve click adjustable coilover and makes for easy adjustment at the track. Now these sleeves are just gonna unthread. They're gonna just unthread like so. And so once we have all those sleeves unthreaded, we're gonna go ahead and show you how these would bolt on if you had a factory struts. Now you got the rears that are taller on the rear, and you got the fronts that are shorter on the front, and you also have these 4 sleeves. Now if you had a 240Z, those sleeves are gonna get put into the bottom of these black struts. Now, if you had a 260 or 280Z with the ones with the 55mm diameter sleeves, those would not need those 4 sleeves pressed into them. So first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna want to mark about 1.5 inches up from the bottom of the casting. So we're gonna get our tape measure up here, and so this is the bottom of the casting. We're gonna measure about 1.5 inches to 2 inches up on that, and on that line is where we're gonna cut the strut and section that off. And that's where you would slip over the new strut and weld it on. Now in this install video, we're gonna be running our 370Z front spindle and our rear suspension kit, so that's where we're not going to go ahead. Here you can see where those sleeves would get put onto there. It gets put onto the bottom, and then there's a ledge right here that stops the sleeve from moving any further down. And that essentially is what adapts your 280Z coilover to be a 240Z. So you're able to run either a 240Z or a 280Z with these coilovers. All right, and next we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for the front. We're going to go ahead and show you how we would install this in the front. Now you're going to measure the same way, 1.5 inches to 2 inches up from the bottom of the casting. You're going to make a mark, and that's where you're going to cut using a bandsaw or a circular saw is where you're going to cut the section of the tube off, and where you would weld the coilover sleeves around around the original strut. Now, same thing here is you can press this in if you had the 240Z, slip this over that, and then run a bead around your coilover tubes. Now big thing here is you'll also notice that these are black. It would make sense, and we do recommend either sandblasting or removing the black finish on the bottom of the coilovers. There's just a rust preventative, and they come off pretty easily. Now you can see we already welded and powder coated these for this customer, so they are already ready to go. This is our welding service package where we would weld and powder coat them on for you. Now these 370Z front spindles are what we're going to use for the install. You can refer to 370Z front spindle video if you have questions on how to assemble and install that together. But for this one, we're just going to focus on the coilovers. We're going to mount the coilovers to the front spindles. So you're just going to thread those on there. And then once you have the wheel bearing mounted, you're going to take your knuckle bolts and then put the knuckle bolts through the knuckle and the 370Z front spindle or your factory front spindle if you had these coilovers welded to the factory front spindle. And then you can go ahead and loosen up the top nuts on these coilovers and then put them through the studs on the top, and you can go ahead and tighten those down to 55 foot-pounds. Then we're gonna jump to the knuckle bolts, and you can go ahead and tighten those down per the knuckle installation video. And that's about it. That's how you install the front coilovers. Now we're gonna jump to the rears and install the rear coilovers. And so we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the rears. You're gonna go ahead and slide those 3 bolts to the top and torque them also to 55 foot-pounds. Here you can see the coilovers installed to our rear knuckle. If you're installing it to the regular rear control arms on your regular rear strut, it would pretty much follow the same steps. And that's about all we have for the install of the coilovers for your S30. If you have any questions, give us a call or leave us an email. Don't forget to like and subscribe.